Isn't it so frustrating when you want to do something, but your brain just keeps getting in the way? Like, you know you want to clean or cook or work on that side project, but suddenly all these really good excuses pop up. Well, I've got 5 tricks for you, ranging from scientific research to personal experience, that'll help you do the things that you want to. Plus, a little bonus tip at the end that has really helped me. This is one of the classic rules that you hear quite a lot. Some people do it for 5 minutes, some people do it for 10, but the idea is just to get started on the thing that you want to do. It's so easy to get yourself to do something for just 2 minutes, as opposed to trying to convince yourself to, for example, read for an entire hour, because it's going to be harder to commit to it. The same way it's easier to watch multiple episodes of a series in one sitting rather than just one movie, even if you're watching for the same amount of time. If you set yourself a timer and say, I'm just going to do the dishes for 2 minutes and then I'll go back to scrolling on TikTok. More often than not, when the timer goes off, you're just going to finish doing the dishes. All because you got over the hardest part, which is starting. And if you don't continue after the 2 minutes, that's okay too. You've still done more than you would have if you had done nothing. I mostly notice this with the once a year tasks that I procrastinate the most with, like taxes. And it seems like every year I have to relearn that it's not actually that bad. And if I just start, it'll be over before I know it. So set that timer and just start. You don't actually have to be dancing, but I have noticed that listening to music while doing tedious tasks like cleaning is actually way better than listening to podcasts or having a show on in the background. When I was a teenager, I was all about music. I was constantly listening to something. But once podcasts became a thing, I listened to nothing else. So while I do the dishes or clean the apartment, I'd be listening to podcasts or have YouTube or Netflix playing. That was until last year when I started running and listening to music again to push me during my workouts. And just like during the workouts, music gave me energy during these boring tasks the way podcasts or a series never did. They kept my mind occupied, but they didn't make the task more fun. But singing along and dancing like nobody is watching while also vacuuming the apartment, that's fun. So if you're like me and got caught up in only listening to podcasts, give music a try again and dance as you go. Just like with the 2-minute rule, this tip is all about getting over that hurdle of just starting. But instead of putting on a timer, this one is about making it as easy as possible to start. This can be something like sleeping in your workout clothes so that when you wake up, you can just get up and go. Or if you hate how time-consuming it is to chop vegetables every time you need to cook, chop more than you need and freeze what you don't use. Then you'll be more likely to cook if you can just grab already cut vegetables and just throw them in a pan. Sometimes when I'm not in the mood to film for this channel, I'll just tell myself that I'll set up my camera, my lights, and my microphone, and then I'll go do something else. Usually by the time I've set everything up, I've gotten into the mood to film anyway. But even if I didn't, it would still be fine because then everything would be ready for me when the mood strikes. This channel started because of a challenge whose purpose it was to push you to just finish a thing and not worry about it being perfect. And while I haven't been as consistent with my uploads as I was during the challenge, I've taken that lesson to heart. I think we have this expectation that everything we do, especially art, needs to be put online and only has value if it's seen and judged by other people. We should be doing things for ourselves, creating art for the sake of creating art, doing sports for the fun of sports, have a hobby without thinking about how to monetize it. As much as I'm making these videos for myself because I enjoy researching mental health and the process of making videos, I do get demotivated when a video performs badly, no matter the reason. A few weeks ago, I made a video that I was really proud of, but it seems the algorithm just didn't like it. And of course, it sucks to see it as the worst performing video on my channel. But if I was worrying too much about perfection or what the algorithm wants, I would never make another video. I'd be stuck in overthinking every last detail of a project and then never finish or even start. And this can be applied to anything, not just art. Like, for some reason, I can never dust perfectly, and it really, really annoys me. It seems like every time I finish dusting, there's some left over. I work from top to bottom, move everything, have tried different methods, but nothing works perfectly. However, when I do dust, it is better than before, just not perfect. And if I never did anything, my entire apartment would be covered in dust. So maybe stop worrying about it being perfect and just finish it. Okay, I know that this is like the typical reason that people give as to why you can't focus on work for more than 5 minutes. But I recently did a dopamine detox and it really worked wonders. Our phones are so good at keeping our attention with a constant barrage of small hits of dopamine that make us want to come back. Social media companies have entire departments dedicated to finding out better ways to keep your attention. I like to think of this as dirty dopamine, kind of like fast food. It's cheap, it's fast, and ultimately unhealthy. The clean dopamine, on the other hand, is the one that you get after a job well done. Seeing a clean kitchen, the feeling after exercise, reading a book, or just achieving something. Yeah, it's harder to come by, but you feel better in the long run. The first step I took was removing my phone from my immediate reach. I used to always have it with me. So when I was working, it was next to my screen. When I was watching TV, it was on the coffee table. When I was in bed, on the bedside table. But now my phone mostly stays in the kitchen, which means whenever I have even just a second of downtime during my workday, I don't immediately reach for my phone anymore. I used to grab my phone whenever I rendered my videos, when something started loading, or even while respawning in a video game. And I gotta tell you, it was really weird in the beginning when I absent-mindedly grabbed where my phone normally would be, only to realize there's nothing there. And now if that isn't a sign of addiction, I don't know what is. By doing this one thing, leaving my phone in the kitchen, I forced myself to get through these moments where I would have normally reached out and grabbed my phone, and I slowly noticed my concentration coming back. In the beginning, it was really hard. I'd be reading a book and I'd be constantly feeling this need to check my phone. But with time, it went away. Now I'm getting much more of that clean dopamine, and I feel much better. And when I do give myself a couple of minutes of social media, it feels special, like a treat. This has always been the most effective way for me to get anything done. I can't speak for other people, which is why it's a bonus tip, but it really, really works for me. I've done 100 days without alcohol, a year without alcohol, 100-day comic challenge, the alphabet superset, and a challenge that will be the topic of my next video. This brings together a lot of methods that I've talked about before. Keeping a streak going, like in No Zero Days, or having SMART goals. And because it's only for a very specific, limited time, you're much more likely to push through to the end, instead of giving up after a few days because you think you can't do it for the rest of your life. So if you have something that you've always wanted to do or want to change in your life, do it for 30 days. See how it feels to read before bed for 30 days, or be without social media for 30 days, or no sugar for 30 days. After that time, if you feel like it helped, you can just keep going. And if not, no harm done. At least you tried, and now you know that that lifestyle is not sustainable for you. I hope these tips helped. if you have any methods that you use to get yourself to do the tedious and difficult things in life, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Peace.